Hello and welcome to Black and Forth. I'm your host, Nori. I'm so excited to be here. We have a very special guest. Cirilo Manego is here joining us. So many things have happened in the last few days, last few weeks, and Cirilo is going to break it all down. So I'm really excited for this opportunity to welcome you to the show. Now, Black and Forth is being brought to you by The Wave USA and Digital PR. We come together to highlight and showcase just our Blackness and how beautiful it is. So I'm just excited to be here. Today's show is dedicated 45s out, 46s in, and what's up? So that is the vibe of today's show. One of the things that I'm just excited about is just the work that you've been doing. You have been impacting so many people's lives. And so you are the CIO of Black with No Chaser, and you are with the Black Group Consulting, and you pretty much make politics look really cool and very digestible. And so a lot of people are appreciative of the work that you and your team are doing. And really, we just want to get to know you a little bit. So tell us a little bit more about you, who you are, your background, because you're a lawyer, right?
Yeah, I'm a lawyer, but I don't it's funny because if you look at me in my bios, I try to shy away from, credentializing myself because a lot of times I feel like we follow people because credentials, but not because of genuine passion people have for changing their communities. So I really wanted to make sure that the work is centered around not me, but more importantly, the people that will be impacting on a on a positive level. So that's why, I lead with that because I'll tell you a quick story. I was in a training one time, and I used to do that. I used to lead a lot with my credentials.
Mm-hmm.
And this one sister pulled me to the side. She was like, "Look, I think your message will be better served with organizers if you didn't lead with the education, because people come in here with different levels of education, different levels of experience, and it's hard to be a community organizer if people don't seem like you can meet them on a level." And so
Mm-hmm.
part of the way to doing that is not saying I'm trying to throw away my degree, because I'm proud of the fact that I went through law school and I worked my ass off to do get there. But I think that for the work that we're doing and telling our stories, I don't think it is really of it's really of no importance from the standpoint of you know me having a law degree or not having a law degree doesn't necessarily help. Somebody where I'm from in New Orleans, and they struggling and living in low income housing, or folks down in Florida or in Ohio and middle America, that my degree doesn't help them. It only serves me. And so what I try to do is really get rid of things that only service me and focus on what can serve others. And so that's really part of the whole lawyer thing, and not really leading with that piece. So but anyway, but for me, I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana. Look, proud, born and raised, proud. Shout out to the Seven Ward, man. We had two cats from the Seven Ward in the Super Bowl recently, Leonard Fournette and the Honey Badgers, both from LSU, man. Proud to see the two brothers doing their thing. But yeah, man, from the Seven Ward, born and raised. Grew up, with both my parents in the home. I think it's important to note that. I don't want to, make it seem like I had some tragic, hard life. But there was struggles along the way. But I think through it all, though, man, I'm appreciative of the experiences and the people that helped me get to the place where I'm at. I had a lot of folks saying that they self-made, and I'm proud to say that I'm not self-made. I'm proud to say that I'm a product of my community. People that invested time and resources and energy and emotion into the future of me. People wrap their arms around me, and I want to be able to celebrate that more, because I think this idea of I made it on my own and sensationalizing that, and there are folks that did in fact make it on their own, but I feel like there's very few of us that end up making it on our own. We're always part of a larger community, and honestly, the other day when somebody asked me, after January 6th, because part of the reason why we're here in January 6th happened, insurrection, and the viral video and everything came out. And this black woman reached out to me, and she's a media manager, and she was like, "Cirilo, what do you want to, get from this?" And I was like, "What do I want to get from this?" I was like, it's such an odd question for somebody that really is about organizing people. Organizing is a very thankless job, and even the idea of going viral on that day of something I would have done anyway, right?
Yeah.
It is and then getting notoriety for it was I think a more of a, in the aggregate, if you build and build and build and build and build, and you working behind the scenes, and all of a sudden you pop out for 1 second, But being somebody that is really usually operating in obscurity, and then finally getting that chance to like live in that moment was surreal. But it was gratifying, admittedly so, to the work that I put in, and the entire Black West No Chaser team has put in over the years, and so it was a good culminating kind of moment.
It's interesting that you are really pushing um everyone else out front. Like you're really like, it's not about me. And I get what you're saying, but also I do think it is important to celebrate when someone does step out and does something that we all relate to. That was such a relatable moment. It was a scary moment, but it was a moment that we celebrated with you. That I think that's one of the reasons you went viral, because we was like, yeah, like we felt
Yeah.
that intensity with you. You know what I'm saying? So,
Hmm.
I mean, just speaking on just really not wanting to kind of take on all of the notoriety that comes with it, so to speak, like it's also well deserved. Like you put in the work, and I see your talks on IG and the conversations that you have with people that care about what's happening with the political climate. Like all of that is needed, but it's also just in line, it's with your personality from what I know from you. So I do think we do need people to continue to step out of the shadows and be more vocal and to kind of put a face with it, especially when we can identify and we can relate and we can see pieces of ourselves in you and the conversations that you're having. And I think that's why it's so important. Of course, we're talking about when you were at the insurrection that was taking place and you was out there with your flip-flops on. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, what if he has to run? Like, is he going to be all
Yo, yeah.
right?
So real quick about that moment, what I mean, me and my lady, you met Omar, and
Yes.
we were uh we were going to run an errand, and I said, well, if on the way back, if there's a parking spot, we pulling up. I was like, we gotta look too long. I was like, I don't want to make it a thing. I don't want to like I feel like sometimes when something is forced and it's not feeling
Mm-hmm.
organic, then I'm like, nah, cause something may go wrong, and the moment that may not be right, and
Mm-hmm.
and I don't want to like get ourselves. Really, it was more so thinking about her than even myself, and I didn't want to get her into something because it's only me and her out there, and so but lo and behold, I said, yo, if we turn this corner and it's a parking spot, I said, I said, we going out there. And literally, we on East Capitol Street, and we make a left off the first street of East Capitol right there, and then the car's pulling out as we turn the corner. I
Wow.
said, oh well, we pulling up there, and so I was running the errand, so I didn't, naturally, so I didn't really think I'm gonna be out that insurrection. But I wittingly put myself into that situation, me and her, and not really understanding the magnitude. But I think that once I was there, I understood the magnitude. Like because like I go to so many peaceful protests. I've been a part of protests, organized protests and rallies. So to me, in the back of my mind, I'm like, well, they may be rowdy, but I didn't really fully understand or appreciate like the level of violence that transpired that day, or what was going to transpire. And so like when I finally got there and I start to see the look in some folks' eyes, right? I was like, oh, this
Mm-hmm.
is different. It was like another level of hate that I've never really experienced at a rally. I understand people are upset about where the economy is going, or certain things may be stripped of them, but like never to the point where the type that look, you know what I'm saying? That look, that
Mm-hmm.
real like demonic, like you
Mm-hmm.
having an out of body experience, and maybe you not really all the way there. There was like this is gonna remind me of straight up. This remind me of like back in the day around the way when you're in the hood and everybody started like strapping up their belts and people start having that skip, like you like skipping
Yeah.
towards the like what's about
Yeah.
to happen. And so
Yeah.
I seen these white dudes like skipping, like yo, like I like that skip looked familiar. Like I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if it was the same skip, but the energy felt the same. Like yo, like something about to go down. And so when we got there, I think it was like it's probably almost like moments before they actually charged the Capitol, and
Were you scared
because
at
it was like
all?
you can tell it was a groundswell of people. Nah, because I was more so thinking like, I wish a motherfucker would, like, low key.
Mhm.
Like, because in my mind, I was like, I'm with the smoke if you try to run up on me, especially with my lady out here. So in my mind, I was already locked in, especially when I got the vibe. I was like, okay. Then I'm in my flip flops. So I'm like, okay, that's also an issue. I'm out here in Burks, but I felt like I didn't get too close to the crowd. If you look at the photo or the video, I was close enough from the standpoint of maybe about 100 feet or so from where the
Mhm.
crowd really was. But I
Mhm.
was right next to Buddy. I don't know if you saw in the picture. I'm standing right next to Buddy, and like he looking at me, and I'm looking at him, and I'm like trying to like I don't know if y'all like I kept trying to peek this way because there was nobody to my left of me, not in like striking distance, but he had this Trump flag. So I'm thinking like, man, if Buddy try to swing on me, I'm about to take bro out. So I was like, so now I'm trying to in my head plot around like, okay, if this happens, then I need to be this way. I got Umar in front of me. And so it was a lot that had to try to like go through my head about what could happen. But
Mhm.
then like one and then the moment that really was caught on camera was really super organic because I was just like, man, I'm about to take a picture, throw the fist in there. I'm pulling up on y'all. I don't give a damn. And then like while I was doing it, literally as I was like lowering my fist, like Umar was like, what you got to say to the people? And it was just a 90 second, 96-second clip that I just like, whatever was on my mind. I felt like I was having an out of body experience at the moment. And and then that was it. And we stay out there. Some people started texting me like, yo, the National Guard about to come. It was like maybe 30 minutes or so later. And it was like, yo, the National Guard about to be there. So bro, you gotta like for real. Like it's probably time for you to
Yeah,
make
get up
your
out of there.
way. Yeah. And I think even Greg Jackson hit me up and he was like, bro, stop playing, man. Like you don't need to be out there. And so after I got a few texts, it got a little more alarming about whether or not I should be out there and thinking about the safety of Umara and just even my own self. I was like, okay, I think it's time to
Yeah.
go. And so yeah, that was it.
When you actually put your fist up and raise your black power fist, that was a powerful moment. What were people looking at you? Were people, trying to figure out what you were doing there? Did they feel like you were out of place? Did anybody come close to your person at all?
I was doing that picture with the dude that was behind me. I'm telling you, he was like, I could have like did one little skip, reach back and touched him. And he was like so close to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I really didn't want to stand pose for too long because I felt like, all right, hold on, man. Like, let me not go OD with this, but I'm definitely going to like stun on y'all real quick. And but I think the important piece was is that like I live down the street from the Capitol. And like I think that if something happened in your backyard, you should show up for it. Like, you know what I'm saying? You're not going, I live less than a mile away. I jog to the Capitol some days. This is a place where I kind of go and have a lot of fond memories of. And for that to kind of take place on that day, I felt like it was my way of like planting my damn flag, so to speak, for all things I felt like was right, in opposition to what was going on that day. And that was just like that was the moment. And then that damn thing went viral, and then so here we are.
Here we are. Did you think the insurrection would last as long as it did?
No, I honestly, I was really surprised because like I spent some time on the hill and Capitol Police, yo, they don't play. Like
Mm-hmm.
not at all. Like, and I remember when me and B spoke and like five of us without that, I even said this in the video, we was in suits. And I remember like literally Capitol Police come up with like semi-automatic weapons rolling up on us, like, yo, bro, y'all can't be on the steps. So the fact there was that many people on the steps and it was nothing really being done to like move them away, I felt like I was just confused low key. I was like, how did you even get to the steps? Because I don't, again, for people that may watch this or never seen like Capitol Police or what the feel is, it ain't no like pleasant feeling. Like they out there for like we not
Mm-hmm.
protecting and serving. This is a different kind of vibe. We not DC Metro Police. We Capitol Police, and our
Right.
main job is to protect the Capitol, not like in the people that work in the Capitol, right? And so like that day, I'm like, well, the damn Capitol Police said y'all was just here in a suit, and
Yep.
y'all had a lot of smoke for dudes in a suit. But these folk come out here and carrying on what they carrying on, and literally, like, people died on that day. And I keep talking about this, but it's a very, very sad moment because, like, I know people that work on the Hill, and we know people that work on the Hill, and folk were like literally and still traumatized about the fact that, like, yo, like, just when you thought it was sweet and you safe, and you know that, like, based upon what you know about going to the Capitol, like, we now know that, like, just as fragile as our democracy is, like, the U.S. Capitol is also very fragile. And so it just like puts everybody on high alert. And so yeah, it was a nuts day. I ain't gonna lie. That whole situation is crazy. And I really do mourn for the families who lost even the person that was killed, that was a Trump supporter, man. Like, it's like, yo, she was really um inundated and kind
Mm-hmm.
of like fell into this whole conspiracy theory and
Mm-hmm.
things that you're about to be taken away from, and just like it's this piss poor messaging, I would say, by politicians, and think tanks and communication firms, and perpetuating, like, pinning these folks against these folks, when it's really about, yo, like, we want to get to unity, we want to get there. There's some accountability and some recognizing we need to do first before we reconcile. I understand the willingness to want to get to reconciliation, but like my sister Corey Bush says from Missouri, right? Shout out to the freshman woman and all the work she's doing. Like, there ain't gonna be no unity without accountability. And I think that, like, as hard as that may be, as a hard of a pill that may be for folks to kind of like swallow. Like, there's a lot of people still hurting on this side of the fence. That's like, yo, like, 246 years of bondage, another 100 something years of like, speed up to where we at now. And it's like, that means that the majority of this country, people looking like you and looking like me and our family members, have been in bondage. And whether that be
Yeah.
literally or figuratively by way of systematic oppression and racism, like, yo, it is what it is. And I had an argument with somebody today about this. Somebody played baseball way down in Florida, talking about we colorblind. I'm like, as a white guy I play baseball with, I'm like, bro, I hear you. I said, but like, I try to explain to people, man, like, you have a privilege of being colorblind, and
Yeah.
and this idea of forgetting the past. I'm like, well, I want to forget the past. I don't. I mean, I want to move past the past, but let's deal with the past first. So we never dealt with the past. So we want to leapfrog over all this shit that happened, and like, but because of how it makes folk feel inside. But I ain't worried about your feelings when it comes to my freedom and the freedom of folk that look like me, and other folk that feel marginalized and oppressed in this country. And it's not a way to kind of pin anything against anybody, and even say like, hey, bro, you trying to boost one race over another. I'm like, bro, do you realize how policy works? If you
Mm-hmm.
if you work on the people that feel most oppressed, and not just feel, but by way of empirical data, if you work for them folks, then we know that from a ground up approach actually works. Because if you got the right policy in place, we've seen there's no trickle down economics. There's no trickle down, hey man, like, get out of jail free card, man, get a pass. And so the only way we can start is starting at the bottom. Who are the folk at the bottom? I'm not saying me. I'm saying who the folk at the bottom. Let's start with those folk, cash poor folk, low income folk out here struggling to make $1 in America, people living in obscurity that don't feel seen, right? Marginalized folk, people from LGBT community, trans black women, you know what I'm saying? All these different variations and
Mm-hmm.
identities that people associate with. Let's start with them folk.
No, I agree
And
with you.
and so having these conversations,
I think you're touching on
I'm gonna get off my soapbox.
so many beautiful touch points that affect the fabric and the rainbow of us, who we are. I do want to take a pause right quick. When you're talking, do you see yourself breaking up?
No, I'm cool. Am I breaking up?
Yeah, it's so on this end, it's like pause. It's like when you're moving, it's breaking up, and your word will like stop, and then it'll continue. Like it's like a half
Mm.
second
Oh
pause.
damn.
So
Hold on. Let me.
so
I'm trying. Hold on 1 second. Hold on. I made. Damn. This is probably bad to do this right now. I said, let me look at my to make sure I'm connected to the right Wi-Fi. Yeah, I'm on the right Wi-Fi.
Okay, I'm just making sure I have everything. The only thing I have pulled up is you. I don't have any other devices on. Okay. I'm just trying to make sure.
I feel like I'm on the right. Am I still breaking up right now?
No, you're not breaking up right now. You were like really going in, and on my end it was breaking up. So I'm just not. Yeah,
Oh
you
damn,
pause.
damn, my bad. Just now?
No, I think I don't know. We're gonna continue, but I just wanted to kind of put that on your radar because I'm not quite sure what's happening with that.
I feel I'm good. I hear you loud and clear, and then
Okay, good. Am
on
I
mine,
am I
I can
getting
usually tell.
am I getting stuck or
Mm-mm.
nothing? It could. I don't know if it's because you're moving. You talk with your hands.
Yeah.
Oh no. Oh no. All right. All right. We gonna pick back up. So I do want to ask you this. What are your thoughts about the double standard of how peaceful Black protesters were treated in comparison to the white nationalists and the domestic terrorism that took place? Because obviously this is a question you may have been asked a million times over, but it just has to be reiterated because obviously it's not the same treatment. You couldn't stand on the steps in a suit. White people can storm the Capitol, break windows, and try to harm people, our congressmen and women inside. So what are your thoughts on that? Because you've been to a lot of protests, you understand the climate of protests. Um, are we ever
Yeah,
gonna
yo.
are we ever gonna grow past this?
So I don't. So that's a great question. The more of the latter than the in terms of like, I think we all know and operate under like this dichotomy where like folk that look like like this is treated one way, and folk like look at us are treated another way, and whether or not people want to believe it, I feel like is it's up to them. I think there's enough data points, right? Whether it be on social media, whether it be think tank and advocacy orgs like doing their thing, whether it be moving for Black Lives and all the orgs that are comprised within that movement. Like there's enough evidence out there that we don't have to. We can make the straight face argument that there are two Americas that exist. We got a
Yes.
criminal justice system. There are two Americas that exist. I've been in those courtrooms and I know firsthand. I've seen it. Like I've seen it. I've seen it when a Black judge who was in Mississippi will give this brother 5 years, and the white judge for the same crime will get his brother 11, 12 years. I've seen it happen. Like I've seen them I've seen use sentencing guidelines on a state level. Let's say, for example, if a charge came with the punishment of like 5 to 20 years. I've seen them throw the book at them just because. And so like when you talk about disparities, and as a matter of fact, though, it's not that the judge. You can go in the courtroom right now, any courtroom in America, and even some of the quote unquote whitest counties in America, and I guarantee there's still gonna be brothers and sisters in there.
Mm-hmm.
Majority brothers,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
right? And like seeing that, and like to answer your question about how to address that and where do we go, I was like, man, I think it's just one relationship at a time, man. I think that a lot of people, feel like things are being stripped from them. When I was doing organizing, I saw the most gains having candid conversations with people one on one, not putting folks on the spot, not trying to embarrass them via social media, but to like really having real conversations about their lives
Mm-hmm.
and trying to connect hearts to minds to issues. Understanding that, look, like I understand that you come from a certain set of ideals and a certain set of political views, but at some point though, right, like you got to figure out whether or not these political views are helping my family and helping like my communities. And I remember going to this debate one time. It was Pat Toomey. He's a now incumbent senator from Pennsylvania, and Magenti was running against. It was a white woman running against Pat Toomey, and she was backed by all these labor unions, and she was doing her thing. She was going to raise the minimum wage to $15 and had all these very progressive policies she was going to put forth if elected, but she wasn't. And I remember going to the debate, and it was this father and this daughter who were like, yeah. And they're like, who are you going for? And he asked her, who you going for? And she was confused. She was like, I'm not. I'm like, she had to be like no more than 9 years old.
Right,
And she was
right.
like, and he was like, Pat Toomey, you going for Pat Toomey. And I was just like, bro, y'all are weird, dog. Like, because I wouldn't do that to my child, because I feel like part of what we need to do with our younger generation is being able to explain exactly what's going on in plain language and have them make choices based upon human rights and not necessarily what we believe is power in this country. Because quiet is kept, at the end of the day, we all of us are advocating for it to be under the power of somebody, which is kind of weird, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, you're president of the United States and you're going to be out of power and demean, like, some kind of power over me. And so, we got to kind of revamp the way we view our politics, and
Mm-hmm.
really think really long and hard about the rhetoric that we've been fed, that's been based upon very, very damaging and frightening euphemisms from throughout the history of this country. And so even on words like law and order, where we see first and like plain as day,
Yeah.
where the former president of the United States, right, the party of law and order, don't want to uphold law and order. But yet law and order has gotten folk in our communities, right? Mass incarceration.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking at folks being locked, three strikes and you're out. We're
Mm-hmm.
looking at the crack epidemic that hit
Academic.
our communities. We're looking at like what I'm saying. So it's like, yo, like, so we could talk about all these things and law and order, but we know when it all boils down, when we crunch the numbers, black folks are disproportionately affected by policies, police brutality, unarmed killings, extrajudicial killings of our people. And so it's hard to even talk to people sometimes
Mm.
and have a conversation about somebody will tell you, well, I'm colorblind. And yeah, if I ask you what's the color of my damn shirt, you would emphatically say, well, it's black, you know.
Right, right.
And so, I don't want to hear that noise. I don't want to hear it.
I
It's
clearly,
just bullshit.
clearly. Well, I always appreciate having this dialogue with you, because I always learn so much. There's so many layers to us. We're not monolithic, and we are really just beautifully complex people. And you're right, we have to humanize the experience with other people and really and truly get to know what it's all about on a very plain human to human level. And I think that means so much. Now, you talked about power and what that looks like now. We did have a change in the commander in
Mhm.
chief. So,
Thankfully, thankfully.
thankfully we had that change and shift. So now that we have a new president, definitely seems like Biden and his administration has a plan. In the first 100 days, he plans to really shake things up. Like his team said, by the end of his third month, the vaccination, 100 million Americans, Defense Production Act increase, reopen majority of schools, things of that nature. So what are your expectations for Biden's first 100 days? Are you on board with, trying to make sure every American is vaccinated, the schools are open? Like, it sounds good on paper, but realistically, do you think we're able to move forward that fast?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's some challenges. I think politically, I mean, we already are seeing kind of some of this play out between the Senate and the House right now on this $1.9 trillion pandemic
Yep.
or kind of like relief package, and
Mm-hmm.
people are fighting about whether or not, which I think is very disingenuous and, for lack of a better word, like, effed up, because you have people fighting about whether or not if you exceed $50,000, but if I make
Mm-hmm.
51,000 or make 52,000 or 55,000 or 60,000, right? And if you make 60 grand and 50 grand, ain't that big of a difference between your paycheck. And so the fact that we are playing around with people and trying to find ways to cut corners, like, yo, like, stop playing with people's lives. We've been through enough. I think that the collateral damage that has been pushed upon every American in this country, regardless of party line, like like I, I can't, like, when people are trying to rationalize, like, should people be earning a livable wage? Should we be getting should we extend the housing moratorium where people can still have, like, so we can combat homelessness in this country? Whether or not people look at this whole idea about student loans. one thing before I get into this, like whether or not he can do it, America can cut a check for whatever it wants to cut a check for.
Yes, it can. Yes, it can. We saw that. We seeing it right now.
Every single thing we want to cut a check for, checks being cut. So
Mm-hmm.
first of all, I don't want to hear none of that. But in terms of the political battle, I mean, there's a lot of things going on. I think one of the complex things that happen right now on the Senate side, especially with Dems, is looking at the more moderate Dems coming from states like Alabama or West Virginia
Mm-hmm.
or in
Mm-hmm.
Arizona. You're dealing with Mark Kelly and Sinema and Manchin. Those folks there, because of their relationship and the nature of the state and the politics within the state, they have to play a more centrist role. And
Mm-hmm.
quite frankly, they're probably just more centrist Democrats to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's just more so it's just a old fashioned Dixie
Yep.
Democrat, somebody dressed in blue, but really underneath wearing red overall or underdraw, right? Whatever. So
Pretty
I
much.
feel like, but you know, because one thing I feel like playing to middle America or playing to this idea of like we got to be more in the middle. I feel like no, this is a time where I think America is old. People that have been like really through the ringer about messed up policy, especially from the last administration. Like we should be bold. We should be go as bold can possibly go, and push the outer limits of what bold actually is, and finally put a and qualify bold, and not just say that, oh, because we took away we lessened federal sentencing guidelines, or we did this to the First Step Act, and qualify that as bold, knowing damn well that's not bold, because we outlawing chokeholds. First of all, though, why police chokeholding people anyway, right? And so I
Yeah.
think that we need to advance our idea of bold. And now going back to the Biden administration in 100 days, I think it's lofty goals. I think I don't see no problem with it. I think, well, first of all, 100 million Americans, we don't even really get to 2/3 of Americans being inoculated or vaccinated, and so I think that number needs to change. Every American should be getting vaccination as soon as humanly possible. What Congress is doing right now and holding up the relief bill is really holding back a lot of Americans and putting a lot of people at risk. I got a phone call today with a sister down in Jackson public school system, where literally she's being compelled to work in an isolated multi-unit down in Jackson, Mississippi. Meanwhile, she is literally almost in critical condition for her health. And so like we're dealing with these kind of instances. So in relation to, we talk about teachers and whether or not they should be back in school, I think people, until the country really comes to a safe space, should have the opportunity to decide on whether or not and how they're going to teach their kids, and so long as it's adequate,
Mm-hmm.
and then and they're in a safe space. I wouldn't want to put anybody life's in danger for the sake of trying to get back to normal, because this
Mm-hmm.
is our new normal. Like this whole idea of getting back to normal, we have to figure out how do we work within the current conditions, because that's what we do, right? People
Mm-hmm.
adapt, and so in terms of teachers going back, I heard about the fact that in Chicago there may be a strike.
Mm-hmm.
Teachers may be going on strike in Chicago because they're not having it out there. And you see what happens in a democratic state when people are able to mobilize and organize their folks.
Yep.
They have more power in unions. In Mississippi, a state that goes against teacher unions, you're seeing happen right now when there's a fragile system and people are not empowered. Unions aren't empowered outside of police unions.
Right.
Then people don't have any recourse, and they feel powerless, and then potentially putting their lives at risk for something that they could possibly still be doing from the confines of their home safely. And so I think there's this willingness to rush to get back to whatever we had, but I would rather, if we had to still go a little bit slower, but to get it right, so people feel safe
Yeah.
when they go back out in public. I think that's the right approach. But so I think, but the other piece of that in the first 100 days is that people think that Biden is signing all these new things in the law. No, he's just undoing
He is.
all
Yep.
the policies because they're so bad and so discriminatory and xenophobic and homophobic, right? Is that and
Yeah.
transphobic. And so like now I gotta come in, I can't even get to work. I
Yep.
gotta get my cabinet situated, but I can't get to work because I gotta figure out is what the hell is really going on, and pull a team together that can kind of like sift through the entire Trump administration's policy and get that done first, So I think in the spirit of fairness is giving the Biden administration a little time to kind of collect itself. It's almost similar to like when Barack Obama came in after the housing crisis crashed in '08, and he stepped into office in '09,
Hmm.
and he had to sign this huge 500, I think, what $1 billion relief package to
Yeah,
get
to try to
money
build
into
it
the
back
hands
up.
of people to
Yep.
just get the economy. You know what I mean?
To
And
boost it.
so
Yeah.
that takes time. I think it takes time, and we talk about $1.9 trillion that need to be allocated and allocated correctly and swiftly. I never touched $1 million, so I couldn't even tell you exactly what $1.9 trillion will look like. And I know that we have systems in place, but to do it as swiftly as we need to do, it takes time. It takes a little bit of patience, and I think that giving the new administration time to kind of collect itself, knowing that all the various policies they had done do under the Trump administration, I just say that, hey man, give some folks some space and some grace. We all human beings, and
Hmm.
we're gonna get this right. But we gotta get the folks situated in terms of the cabinet positions. We gotta figure out what the hell Congress is gonna do. We fighting about whether or not people are gonna get increased minimum wage. We fighting about paid family leave. We still fight like we don't even believe in, some people talk about family in this country. That I don't know why it's so hard to advocate for paid family leave. I don't even understand it. That is the most perplexing thing. We talk about the unit and community and
Yep.
conservative values, but
Yep.
yet, like, I don't even understand. The family is the most conservative piece that you can think about in America, because family is the core, is where we start. And so you
Hmm.
telling me that a mother and father can't take certain time off from work to be with their child for X amount of months to ensure that child is brought into the world safely and sound, and like the mother is taken care of, the father can step in, do what they need to do, and protect the family unit and bring the community in. And you telling me that that's not what we're about as a country? Like we can't figure out paid family leave?
Well,
Like it's crazy.
it's a lot of it's a lot of questions that linger when you think about America as a as a place where dreams come true. Like that really used to be the thought. They used to be like, we gonna come here and it's gonna be the land of the free and milk and honey. And I'm not saying that there's not beautiful opportunities in space, but when you started really getting into the policies and breaking things down and looking at the structure of how we move to protect American people, it's so ugly. It is so
Yeah.
ugly.
It's
So,
this idea of socialism. I keep telling folks about it, right?
mhm,
I've been trying to read more about it, because I'm like, yo, what is socialism? Like everybody's like, we've been fed like socialism is so bad, but I'm like, but how do we get our roads? Like
yeah.
socialism, right? But
Right.
how do the biggest bank become the biggest bank? Because they practicing socialism. See, the thing is, they want to decentralize folks at the bottom, but organize at the top. So they organize at
Absolutely.
the top, practice socialism amongst each other, but then tell us though we need to be focused on individualism. But the funny part is the irony of it all is that socialism is steeped in individualism. Socialism is the ability to, by way of government, to give people enough space and grace to be exactly who they want to be. Right. So we're gonna make sure you got healthcare. We're gonna make sure your education is fully funded. Right. The basic needs. Right. We're gonna make sure you're not living in food deserts. And then now you're not living in fight or flight mode. So now my brain is clicking on a higher level. And now
Hmm.
I can think about my life differently. I can imagine a different future for myself. But when you fed that socialism is taking my tax, yo, like it's funny people like, don't take my tax dollars. So let's think about this. Don't take your tax dollars. So give me my roads back. Every road you drive on, you can't drive on anymore.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
The clean air you breathe by way of people coming with climate change, and you enjoying this clean air you breathing wherever you at, right? If you're fortunate enough, because we know some communities don't even have clean air, like in Louisiana and
Water.
Mississippi and parts of Alabama, and water
Hmm.
in Flint, and water out in Alabama, as in some parts of Georgia and even Louisiana, and so on and so forth, right? So we dealing with this, and yet though we talking about socialism. So you telling me you don't want clean water, you don't want clean air, you don't want like to be able to go to the hospital even if you fall flat on your face and you don't have no job anymore, you can't provide for your family, but at the basic human level, you got what you need. So then I can go think about what I really want in life. But the problem
Yeah.
is that, we've been told that, hey, look, no, it's not really about you. It's about, oh no, you need to go work for Eli Lilly. I'm just naming company. Oh, you need to go work over here. You need to be there. But so then it becomes more about the edification of the people or the places that we work for, as opposed to what do we really want. If you ask people right now at the end of their job sometimes, and they go, damn, dog, is this what you wanted? Well, a lot of people would say, man, if I'd have done things differently, I would have did A, B, C, or I would have whatever. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, to me, socialism is allowing people enough space and grace to live the lives they really want to live, and not be bogged down by somebody else's vision, but have a vision of your own. And that's really what socialism
Mm.
is. And like, but Republicans and conservatives telling folk like, no, damn socialism, damn this. And there's funny part about this whole big government thing we just seen with the GameStop app and hedge fund folks and people
Yep.
controlling the stock market, right? Now, these folk then democratized, Jason talked about this, democratizing Reddit, and then came up off the system that's been literally trying to lock out
Yes.
people by way of SEC rules, right?
Yep.
And so now they do it, they play the same game that folks at the top playing, and now you want big government to come and regulate everything. No, you can't
Mm-hmm.
have your cake and eat it too. Either you want to have a free market and we won't let the dices roll, or we gonna
Yep.
have big government and we're gonna regulate this thing so it's fair for everybody. But you can't, hey, it ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun. And that's the
Mm-hmm.
problem.
That's definitely
That
that's
the
the part
rabbit
that you
got the
hit the
gun
nail
in
on
these
the head.
situations. Yeah, come on, man. Like, come on. And so, like, it's just funny to me, and that's why when people always say the hypocrisy of our democracy, it's exactly what it is. It's hypocritical, because all it does is feed the elites, and the people that be at the top gonna stay at the top. But I'm looking forward to the day when people in the middle and this whole low income side of America come up and take this goddamn country back once and for
Okay.
all. That's what I hope.
Oh. A few more things I want to touch on. Obviously, for the first time in history, we have a president or a former president being impeached for the second time. Do you think? Do you think he's going to uh, be punished by the fullest extent of the law, or do you think it's going to be another whole circus and get swept under the rug like it did before?
So, all right. In short, I don't think we're gonna have the votes to hold him accountable for his actions on January 6th, or I should say his words.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't think that that's really the issue. Like, in large part, I think
Mm-hmm.
that what we're seeing right now in this country was what I hope is moving towards more accountability. For example, it's not just about what's happened to Trump, but what didn't happen for Breonna Taylor, or the Breonna Taylors of the world, where people get to run free while you get to come in my home and shoot me while I'm asleep. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's about no more allowing people to escape because it's my last day in office. If you was in office and you fall in the auspices of the law, then guess what? Then you will be held to the fullest extent of said law. And so again,
Yeah.
you can't peddle, right, for 4 years and whatever years that conservatives have been peddling law and order. But when it's time for you to really stick to the black letter law, what the
Mm-hmm.
Constitution says, you don't get that. You don't get a chance to wiggle out and go, no, 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 that's not what it says. Because what's the issue here? And we talked about the whether or not, and the Senate voted on this, whether or not it was constitutional for Trump to stand trial. And what that leaned on is essentially conservatives trying to read or write their language into the Constitution. And it's funny because typically speaking, conservatives are the ones that are plain meaning, sticking to the text, black letter law. The framers said what
Yeah.
they said. We want to harken back to the Federalist Papers, Andrew Jackson, and all these people that are part of the drafting and signing of the Declaration of the Independence, and our Bill of Rights is the initial
Yep.
Constitution. And so, like,
Yep.
to me, it's like when you see this, I'm not really here, and I think a lot of people see straight through it. At least people that are more rational and can, like. And again, somebody asked me earlier, do I think that uh like, whose side am I on? I was like, I'm not on a particular side. Like, I'm on the side of right. Like, and
Yep.
so I want the Dems to do their job. They selected the impeachment managers they selected for a reason. I want them to put forward the best case possible. in which it really is compelling. It lines up to the elements of the offense that the accused, in this case Donald Trump, is being accused of, and then make the best case, right? Y'all are prosecutors, you are defending in so many ways. The 80 million American people that probably voted for Biden, and the other people that voted for Trump probably don't want to see him. And so that looking at the vast majority of Americans do want to see some form of accountability across the board. I think this goes back to so many women that's involved in the Me Too movement, that's been harassed and catcalled, and looking at accountability. Like, this is deeper. This is deeper. Like, this is really setting the standard at the highest level, that no matter what, like, you can't just think you can move around and pull on levers of power and you're gonna get away with it.
Mm.
That's what it's about.
I think you summed that up beautifully. Accountability is definitely what we want to see in our government. It is what happened when you stood outside of the insurrection. You took accountability. You said, listen, I don't appreciate this shit. And you put that black fist up and you showed up, and people, it resonated with so many people. And so I remember I didn't even see it on your page. I saw it on, I think, Questlove page. I was like, oh wow. And it's just this full
Yeah.
circle. It's like this full circle moment of everything that we've been talking about when it comes to our government, when it comes to what our goals and what we want to see happen, when it comes to what's happening with the new president. It's so many things that we want to see happen. And I think it's just this big culmination of uh, potential. It's there. The money is there. The vision is there. Is our government going to have our back
Mm-hmm.
when it's all said and done? And I think you have summed up beautifully what this is all about. For people that are like, okay, we got to know Cirilo a little bit. We definitely know what he stands for, and he's standing on the shoulders of our ancestors, which I absolutely love. Talk to us about Black with No Chaser, and talk about what you are doing to continuously push the storytelling process of our people, because it's a beautiful thing to see.
Yeah, like, I think that there's this external side of Black with No Chaser that really speaks to a lot of people. Even speaks to me, even when I don't always post everything. I'm actually, I'm not I don't really post really much at all. That's not really my thing. I do a lot of strategic partnerships with the brand, because we gotta wear our hats, and I don't want to be
Yeah.
stepping on anybody's toes. I could be posting if I wanted to, but so when people send me things, they'd be like, "Yo, did you see what happened on Black with No Chaser?" I'm like, I didn't see it today. Um, but I'm thankful for the fact that, like, people that are in my circle see Black with No Chaser as a vessel. I would like to think that I have I'm fortunate enough and privileged enough to have a community around me that are very locked in to storytelling, understanding narratives and messaging in the work that we do. And the way we describe is the most fulfilling thing I think that that I've ever done, is because we built something that was on the purest level of, like, we just wanted to tell our stories. And I know there's a lot of brands out there doing this, similar things, but it's something about that Black with No Chaser brand that just hit a little bit different.
It
You know what I mean?
does.
It's just, and I don't know if it's the name Black with No Chaser, and maybe it starts with that, and it allows us kind of be who we are. But I just appreciate, like, the Leslies of the world and Seekers and CJs that are behind the scenes, and Chris, everybody that's allowing Black with No Chaser to be what it is. But on the internal side, we do a lot of social impact and community building, not just on the digital level, but we do a lot of, like, on the ground work that people really don't see. We do and from that standpoint, we operate in obscurity. We in the process of working on this idea around digital redlining, and especially of Black people and marginalized folks in urban communities and as well as rural communities. We're working on algorithms. I can't really speak too much on it.
Mhm.
But even we look at the cash bill system, we play a pivotal role in that, exposing the conditions and parchment out of Mississippi. We play a heavy role in that. We broke those stories, and so people trust us with those stories. The young brother that whoever caught that on the DC Metro Transit Police that was accosting that one man, that he was really trying to break up a fight. that one time we broke that story. Then but also and it's not always about like, criminal justice system and law enforcement. This one sister named High C, we posted on our page and she went viral and now she got a whole career. This one young brother out in Africa, he was dancing in the rain. I saw him on my birthday a year ago, and I was like, CJ, bro, we gotta post this, put it out on Twitter. Put it out on Twitter. Damn thing, literally 20 million views later. That brother now is gonna be going. That young brother is gonna be going to on a scholarship to school, I think, out of New York at a elite dancing academy. And so, like, when you talk about Black with no chaser and like blackness not a monolith, we don't just care about, we don't want to sensationalize blackness and always show us in a way in which we're getting gunned down by police. But we want to, like, we really truly do center joy in the work that we do. And I wish that people had more insight on how our chats go, because we don't always agree on everything. But I think the fact that we do truly love, like, the bigger goal is not us individually, but we always keep the brand, and the brand is really just an extension of what we found Black with no chaser, which is really in our hearts. And I think that that's really the gold, the real golden, places that I think a lot of folks start things and be like, yo, I want to be the biggest tech, I want to be the biggest whatever, right? And we was like, yo, we just want a safe space for us to talk shit. And like, and I think that because, I be like, we came up with the first rendition of journalistic mixtapes. What I mean by that is, like, we were remixing and going through so many articles that we found was just flagrant on so many levels, and how we would switch the language and like really put it in context with folks. I think being able to speak to people, not from a lawyer, not from, like, we got lawyers and like scientists, engineers, and like beautiful black minds on the inside of Black with Chaser, but we just really speak from like lived experiences and like really try to like hit home for folks that really trying to like see themselves show up. And I'm just fortunate of the amount of diversity and Black thought that we have. Because I'm telling you, like, everybody ain't the same in Black with no chaser, yo. Like, it ain't everybody. It's not always kumbaya, but I think that that tension there is how Black with no chaser is going to continue to be successful, because we're not looking for somebody to always think like us. But this idea around thinking Black and living Black, in which we always say, and we do that unapologetically, is really like the crux, you know what I mean? And so if you thinking Black and living Black, that don't mean we gotta think the same. But for damn sure, if we move in the direction of breathing a little easier, living a little bit more free every single day, and centering joy in our lives as a form of resistance, as we would say, I think that's really, really Black with no chaser. And in a nutshell. Not so much of a nutshell, but kind of a nutshell,
Well, I love it. It's crazy. I was a fan of Black with No Chaser before I knew who you were or knew anybody on the team. I remember thinking to myself, like, this is genius. Like, I wish I would have thought of this. And this is exactly what the headline should have said. Like,
hell yeah.
Man, it is a beautiful brand. And I'm just really proud of you and the team and the work that you're doing. Continue to press forward, press towards that mark, because you are knocking it out the park. Like, I know plenty of people that enjoy the brand in my hometown of Chattanooga. I mean, all over Atlanta. And I'm like, oh, I know them. I know them.
So it's crazy because, like, keep it real with you, like, people people even knew about Black with no chaser, this is around like the 50,000, 70,000 mark. And we decided, like, we're going to start kind of coming from behind the scenes a little bit and like letting our personalities show through. Because people started hitting us up like, is this a bot? Like, yeah, is this a real page? Like, I don't never see any people behind the page. And we was like, yo, I think we need to start showing that. Like, and I remember when, I never forget it. Yo, it was some brother, I forget where he was from, but it was in the comment section. My bad. That was my. So it was in the comment section, and his brother was like, "Thank God there's Black folk behind this page." He was like, "Nah, I really love this page." He was like, "Man," he was like, "I thought this was some goddamn Russian bots feeding us all this shit," and I was like, and in my mind, I was like, "Nah." And then there's one sister I saw, she had from France, and she had Black with no chaser in her bio as like a hashtag, and that's what I'm saying. Black with no chaser, yo. even if you never knew what Black with No Chaser is, many of Black folk are already Black with No Chaser. And that's why I love
Absolutely.
Black with No Chaser, because it starts here. It's a state of mind that like flows through your body, and that's how you walk and you move through life. You interact with our people, and it's really how you treat other people too. And we got white folks in Black with No Chaser, because like guess what? We know all skin folk and kinfolk, and we know that. And so look, like white folk be around there and be like, y'all appreciate y'all. Y'all be out here really, really telling it like it is.
Yeah.
And you know, we appreciate that because we got all our Asian brothers and sisters and our Hispanic folk. You know, we our followers. Our biggest following right now is in France. 31% of our
Yes.
followers on Instagram
International.
right now is from France. We international, and like that's huge. And so we have a responsibility as global citizens now to show up in a way in which we represent well and correctly. And so I don't think we take that lightly by any stretch of imagination. And we do this shit because we love it, not because we're getting paid the big bucks. Because I promise you, it's definitely still a labor of love for sure. Look, somebody come invest. Oh, and by the way, though, man, shout out to the Wave and you know, all the work that y'all are doing over there. And you know, I really do appreciate, honestly, like everybody is whole part of the whole team. Y'all are family, always family. And so anytime y'all need Black with Little Chaser, you know, we ain't nothing but a call away, baby. That's it.
Always. It is definitely like that. Cirilo, Manego, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. Black with No Chaser. I mean, you are just out here with the team pushing the culture forward. You are appreciated. The Wave USA, Digital Dash PR. This is Black and Forth. And so let everybody know how they can follow you, stay connected with the brands. Give us your social media websites, whatever you got.
Yeah, so pretty much like if you search Black with No Chaser, you're gonna find us across all social media platforms. The only difference on Twitter is we got Black No Chaser because it was too long, so we had to cut out the width. But definitely check out our website. Check out shopping like Black with No Chaser at myshopify.com. We're in the works of revamping some things, so y'all like stick with us. But as far as for me, you can holler at me on the gram. I'm the same name across all social media. So Cirilo Manego 3. So CIRILOMANEGO the number 3 across all social media platforms. And that's it, yo. Appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Yeah, that's it. We appreciate you. Black and Forth. Thank you so much for your time.
Appreciate it.